against the dollar, but if you can see the movement of my mouse,
yeah,
I'm just kind of circling this huge candle. So that was basically an indication that two things. One is that the defenders of those lines, just above $6,000, came back big time. So they wanted to push the price down. It doesn't matter here whether it is now a 30-minute or another kind of framework. I want to kind of illustrate the price, the volume, and then the outcome. So what's happened since then? And exactly about a year ago, I observed a very similar effect when they wanted to push down Bitcoin below 3,000. Yeah, it was, I believe, October, a little bit later, not in September. But how they, came back, I mean, the buyers, how they came back was nothing short of kind of impressive. That's how it should look like. The technical kind of structure of Bitcoin is still very bearish compared to the last year. So one can see that, and that there is no kind of time to go back to look at that, but it's different, obviously, after the big run. But we have to start from somewhere. And I haven't seen this type of kind of buying power and the speed for a long, long, long time. And since then, as you can see, the price has been kind of stabilizing, and as it should, it just nicely goes up and up and up, and again stabilizing. What I'm missing again now here, the volume. So there was some volume when they wanted to kind of push it down. So the buyers are in control for the moment. Now let's see now how it is in a daily structure.
Is that from our lesson in the basic course that showed a bullish engulfing candle?
Oh yeah. Exactly, when a candle. So these.
Why don't you go back to that candle, Z? Show them.
Okay. Oh boy.
And this is in our course, guys.
Yeah. So this particular big candles, it's 30 minutes. It took 30 minutes. And it is, if I could say, an engulfing. It's not just a regular engulfing. Engulfing would mean that the entire body part of the candle is overpassing the previous red candle's price movements. In other words, it is ending a much higher price level than before. What it did, it is an uber engulfing candle, because as you can see, if you go back in time, it is just destroying the previous high levels. And then, because that's where, even without knowing what a candlestick is, you can see how powerful this reversal occurred. And since then, and here is that most recent kind of resistance. So it backed up a little bit, a few hours, and then went higher and higher. So from the $6,100 level, just put it simple, that's where it is, this red candle kind of chipped the support level, and the buyers defended it. And who are the buyers? Those are most probably, I mean, the mix of those miners and those ways who are linked to the miners, and they have vested interest in defending those prices. The prices now to produce a Bitcoin is now $7,000, guys. So I can understand from a business point of view that those miners can tolerate some sort of kind of loss. So it is now just 6,600. All right. So they can run a business, and it's an average price, by the way, the 7,000. That doesn't mean that all of them are in the hole or in the red. There are miners who are in the black, and there are miners who are in the red. But the average price is 7,000. So the mining cost has raised from 5,800 up to 7,000. And here is another kind of correlation. And if we are just among us, when I go next week to Russ, I will cover it a little bit more detail, and please mind my voice. But it's a really interesting correlation between, the mining cost, the hash rate, and the price of Bitcoin. Usually 2-3 times should be the price of the mining cost. So in reality, it should be now around the 15,000, give or take. What's going to happen? Here is the thing. What I do know, and if I know, then a lot of other people know that too, that in December, the mining cost will be $9,000. So those predictions that are, predicting, the 20, 30,000 or these type of things is based on, not just solely on this one, but based on using these mathematical correlations and business correlations, that if the mining cost will be 9,000, which we know, because it's just given, it's like planning your business. Electricity, the difficulty of mining, those make Bitcoin my really favorite one, because it's a lot more predictable than those useless, fiat currencies. They printing. No, case in point. So if the mining cost will be 9,000, then the regular assumption multiplying by 2, all right? The price should be 18,000 or above. So that's why you can see, the other kind of gurus out there, they are predicting 20, 25, 30,000 by the end of this year. So it's not just rocket science, it's, if you have a little bit of kind of access to these hash rates and sites, and by the way, most of them publicly available. So that are based on those assumptions and numbers. So just put aside all the political nonsense, what's going on, or global crisis or financial crisis. That is a pass. For me, again, if it's not happening in December, then it's gonna happen anyway, because they cannot kind of destroy the natural paths of Bitcoin, the halving, the mining cost, and so forth. So from here on, again, I'm not ruling out, and nobody is ruling out that, if you follow to the letter the Elliott waves predictions and the cycles. Elliott wave is an interesting way of, measuring certain market movements everywhere. My challenge with them, they are always, very clever in hindsight, because there are so many ways of counting those waves. So without any kind of technical here, those Elliott wave experts still predict they would need a lower Bitcoin price close to 4,000 and 5,000, so that the kind of selfish, idiotic, concept would be fulfilled. But Bitcoin is is not that. It's a different thing. Again, I'm not saying they are idiot. No, please don't get me wrong. Just only because of that and what they forgot. And I told all of them that you never ever had an asset class that has a mining cost and difficulty. Yes, you do have, you have to mine gold and silver and produce certain things, and oil, by the way, but not like this, and a absolutely predetermined mathematical formula. This is brand new. We never had that before. So that's the other kind of incredible feature of Bitcoin. Russ, I think I'm good for now. Are you with me?
Okay, hey, here's a question for you.
No.
So you always talk about, we have this in our course in basic if you haven't taken it, but we talk about volume preceding price, and we talked about support and resistance too. So I'm just looking at this chart you have up right now, and if you look at the large green candlestick, the Uber engulfing candle there. And you drew a line kind of across, right across, and then you see even at the top of its wick.
Yeah, the wick. Yeah.
If you correspond that with the 4 green volume candles at the bottom there, not candles, for the volume indicators as it's going up, just as an Easter egg, would that be another kind of entry point from a technical point of view for people if they were technically trading?
Absolutely. You nailed it. That's fine. You could see, guys, I mean, Russ is a very good trader. And Russ is, I don't want to kind of praise you too much, but that's the reality. Russ has an absolutely superb, understanding the market. You don't have to be very nitty gritty, but just like that, recognizing certain patterns. And I'm very happy for you, my friend. Yes, it is. And you can see, that gigantic candle, by the way, it was a good $400-500 reversal within half an hour. Now, that's what I want to see as a hybrid trader. So whether, technical or fundamental or whatever, I want to see something like that to change things around. And the fact that, the Fibonacci, we can use, how much it retraced. It retraced around, came back to the 38.2. And then price went up and up and up. And then still we have been kind of consolidating. If we would go further on a daily chart, I can draw a line. The next resistance, what we have to go through is 6,900. So it's just a descending triangle. But I think the mining cost and that calculations was probably more interesting for all of you. So we can see, so this is now almost end of September. So we have, probably the best 3 months of the year ahead of us. And we do have already some numbers in place and some calculations in place. So it's no wonder, the other kind of big news was this week. Thank you for reminding us what we discussed yesterday. That the fact that the SEC did not deny the ETF, the CBO, so the Chicago Board of Exchange ETF's application. They just postponed. So delayed. So let's read among the lines. And why is that? All right. I didn't see that. I told Russ yesterday. I didn't read anywhere else. It is just my speculation, which is coming really from a background where I've been around in politics and so forth. So what we do know, that there will be, the midterm elections in the States in November. Isn't that just a normal human nature, just buying some time not to take any position before the big guys, the big boys, make up their mind, or according to the elections. So what it is. So they come back once the dust settles. Does it make sense? Absolutely. But what is the message again? The coding for you. The message is that, Ole, I have my green line, guys. The ETF will be approved. Just give me a little bit time. I'm speaking on behalf of SEC right now. Just I'm proceeding. But I hope you are with me on that. So let's be more patient. And if it's, gets, approved in January or February, now so what? I know we have to hang on and we should see this, or we want to see this before. And what's going to happen? That's my kind of speculation here. And seeing a lot of times how market reacts to fundamentals, so it's not technicals, that they start and they will start. And I can see already that, by the way, that green candle was the result of the announcement of the SEC decision to postpone the approval of that ETF. So that is a clear technical sign over there. But what's going to happen in the next, or more likely, again, we are working with probabilities, that the market players will start pricing in, a positive, decisions. ETFs on its own won't, kind of change everything. So it's certainly a kind of double-edged sword. So I will be more cautious just to buzzing around. It's not the ETFs will kind of change Bitcoin and the crypto world. It will help to invite more and more money and more structured and legalized way. But I think the November decision, it's not just decision, when they start the New York Stock Exchange, the backed trading Bitcoin in reality, I anticipate a lot more movement and positive movement from November on. So it's basically 5-6 weeks from here. And it's very usual that people start kind of pricing in the movements. There will be the end of year effect, the seasonal effect. It looks very promising at this stage. And again, what Ripple did. So just a few words about Ripple. How much time I have, Russ? I don't want to
go as long as you want.
And if it's boring, just let me know, guys.
No, I do have one question before you segue.
Yeah, ask me. Yeah.
You said that you think the bigs are going to price in the market. Now, I would think that most people wouldn't know what that means. Does that mean that instead of, like, let's say an announcement comes out and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose, like you saw with this Uber candle at once, a pricing in the market would mean they have an idea of where it's going, so they're going to start buying now to be able to increase the price, but all doesn't happen at the same time when the announcement happens. Is that what that means? Yes,
that's the case. Thank you for the additional kind of correction. This is a very traditional phenomenon, and then what we did see, for example, in the Forex market, when, remember the non-farm payroll data, usually the first Friday of every month comes up at 5:30 Eastern time.
That's
what?
The Wild West.
Yeah, the Wild West, because it relates, the job situation in the States, and the job situation is important for the decision makers to anticipate what kind of policy, the Fed will follow as far as interest rates concerned. So that's the kind of 101 for that decision. And they start kind of pricing in certain numbers. They have partial report here and there. And when the actual data comes out, they reacting it, and not most of the time, but lots of times, they buy the rumors out, the news, they are selling it. In this case, I think it won't be that much. I mean, first and foremost, Bitcoin price should be above $10,000 so that we can kind of speak that, okay, now they priced in that. But what it will do, and completely differently than in the Forex industry, it will lay the foundation for the future. So once the institutional monies, legal infrastructure, regulations will be in place, what will come not just back to the market, but what will be restored and enhanced further is the trust factor. Yes, there will be short sellers, but what's going to happen let me give you just a quick example. Pension funds, and there are lots of them out there globally, and holding zillions and billions of dollars, in the bag, so to speak. They have been kind of fighting for rate of return, for the yield. Although the US market now has been performing quite well, thanks to Trump or whoever, so it's fine. We are happy with that. Although it's getting to a point that, yeah, maybe not so fast, too much, but the global kind of environment, investing environment, is still positive despite the tariffs, the trade wars. The US stocks and the US stock market is very positive, and you can realize still gains. However, and coming back to Robin's excellent presentations about inflation and so forth, that's why it's good to know what inflation is and what it can do, even just in general terms. Inflation is good as long as the monetary policy can cope with it, and then the authorities can offer higher yields for these institutional players. The challenge is that the inflation is not high, or not high enough, in the States and in Europe and in Asia. Japan has been struggling for many decades with negative inflation. So there is no yield. That's the bottom line. Okay, so case in point, if there is not good enough rate of return, let me put it that way, so good yield rate of return in the traditional asset classes, pension funds' attention will be directed to those asset classes that can offer higher one. We got to know the demographics again globally. Probably all of you know that we are just aging, in the globe, in the planet. We are aging longer, we live longer, we have better healthcare, better food, whatever the case is, but our longevity is much longer than it was, 100 years ago. But there is not enough money in the pension funds, and there is not enough workhorses, forces, either way, that can subsidize, so to speak, or support pension funds. Now, so what they will do, there is a restriction for them. They cannot buy directly Bitcoin. They cannot buy directly something as asset class, but what they can do is not regulate. They can use or not safe enough for them, because they are Bitcoin not just playing, but they are working. So how it will happen? Money, these pension funds of a lot of other people. will be buying shares within a Bitcoin ETFs. Now, since the ETFs will be regulated, it is now a green light for these kind of gigantic pension funds to do that. to do that. And according to their money management, risk management, the whole 9 yards, if they are, let's say, running and managing a $1 billion kind of fund, at least, 5 to 10% they can buy as a high risk proposition within their own funds. Now just imagine this and multiply it, hundreds of those things. So that's where the wealth shifting taking place, because everyone is asking from where do we get this money? This is certainly one of the biggest chunks where the pension funds will start kind of migrating towards the Bitcoin ETFs. I hope it does make sense, and just sorry for my voice. Any questions, guys?
Don't worry, I'll Twitter beep that one out. I was like, there was the Twitter slip.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you are recording it. So no.
Yeah. Don't worry, I got you. I got you back.
I saw that we are among us. Just I use the colorful language, so mind my French.
Passion is good. Sometimes French slips up. We're bilingual. It is what it
is. You sound fine, Zoltan. You're sounding good, buddy.
But I hope you guys have any questions with what we went over today?
I'm sorry?
I was just asking the team here if they have any questions with respect to
any questions
what we just went over, just for clarification's sake. And just so you guys know, before anyone asks a question, but next week at 11 o'clock Pacific AM on Saturday, we're going to start the executive access rooms where Z's going to go over the Slack, especially because this last week's been really, really active in the market. So it made sense with the launch of CCN and with how the markets have, really responded this last week, that we should go back over what he's been posting so that people can get it. And it's going to be a really, really good education for people because, like I say in the overviews, there's a lot of things that are said that, people listen to, but it doesn't register. And we really need to get people to register the language, because at the end of the day, when you're on your own and you're reading something, you want to have full, your full faculties and capabilities to understand what the heck you're reading, so that you can make, good decisions, good financial decisions for your family in the future. And that's exactly what the executive access course is going to do, just by default, because of the information that's being shared. So I'm actually quite excited about that. But that's going to start next Saturday at 11. We'll have an email that goes out. So if you guys have people, that want to be a part of that group, then, definitely get them to, get their credit card out and get that done, because now's the time you want, to be in the position to learn as much as you can with what's, especially because it looks like the market imminence is, potentially quite upon us now, and there's not much time to, to get this in, right?
Yeah, and what I would like to do is something like that. Connect the dots. So really put these things, because you may have read about ETFs and some other kind of financial piece of news. So I will try to really to create that bigger picture, so that you can place this entire thing in context, put it in context, and preparing you for the next weeks and months, something like that, what I just described. And I hope, and Russ, I think was correct saying the other day, that The executive package and Slack is a kind of time saver. So what I do is I'm analyzing and reading and collecting a lot of kind of information for all of us, and kind of selfishly for myself. And I'm sharing this with you in my interpretation. You may like it, you may not like it. It's not a problem. That's why we will have the executive package, where I'm intending to kind of describe the events, the developments in the first part, and certainly would like to give enough time to you, so the participants, just to ask any questions, you know, whatever you kind of bothering, what you may have read. And I encourage everyone to bring up, you know, your questions, because I'm also just a human being. I may have overlooked something last week, or the back and forth. But if you bring this to my attention, I will definitely review it, we'll analyze it, and then later on we'll get back to you, so that we can kind of grow together and educate one another better. So in that case, maybe I know a little bit here more or not, but there are, I think, really good traders now in our group who have a very good understanding about the market, and that's how it should work. So I'm really looking forward to it, and by then we will fix any kind of probably technical challenges with the Zoom or something like that, but you will like it.
Awesome. Okay, any other questions, anybody?
I don't like it. I love it. Thanks, Zoltan. Appreciate everything you're doing, bro. You're just saving me a whole bunch of time. And now it's time to go out and, like you say, get your buddies to put up the credit card for the executive package. What an amazing value we have to offer to the world. This is my week. The goal is 5 new executives for me, period.
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. You got that right, brother.
Bring it on.
Good times. Okay, well, you know what? We're coming up to an hour here, so if anybody doesn't have anything else,
you owe me a beer.
We'll go from there.
I owe you a case of beer. What do you drink?
And the good burger, you know.